Hello, everybody. What do I tell you? The Snow White wasn't really a fairy tale for kids, but actually a dark, twisted story. Think about it: Snow White and Seven Dwarfs. Think long and hard about what that story represents. Well, today we're going to do a video about that Snow White and everything and all. And the video is going to be different. And everything. And it's something here. A lot of these stories you hear have a lot of truth behind them. And I'm also going to be covering more videos about Pinhead too, as well. And and everything like that. So yes, let's get into the video today, shall we? And let's hang on tight. Because the video we're going to be doing is about Snow White and the history of it. So, let's get into it, shall we?
Poisoned apple, evil stepmother, 7 cheerful dwarfs. But the truth is far older and much darker.
Much darker.
A real girl-mare, and her fate was far too disturbing for fairy tales. What you're about to hear is the true story.
Sorry for the slow dial up and everything.
One Hollywood buried. After this, you'll never see fairy tales the same way again. This isn't a bedtime story. It's a warning. It was the year 1559. In a quiet village in Bavaria, Germany, a girl was born, Margareta von Waldeck. Her father was a strict nobleman. She grew up under tight control, watched, silenced, and shaped to be perfect. People said her beauty was unnatural, like something sculpted by the gods, but meant to bring ruin. Everywhere she went, people stared. But that beauty would become the beginning of her downfall. Margarita's father owned several mines, and he used orphan boys to work them. Children, some barely 10, broken by labor and hunger. Most died before 13. Bent backs, dirty faces, hollow eyes. These were the real dwarfs. Margarita saw them every day, and every time she looked, something inside her cracked. Misery and beauty lived side by side. And she knew it. Deep down, she felt their pain. Her mother died when she was just 4. Some claimed the woman went mad after staring too long at her daughter's face, as if she saw something cursed. Her father remarried fast. The stepmother was young, wealthy, and cruel. But not the fairy tale kind. She didn't use spells. She used poison, blackmail, fear. Margarita wasn't a princess. She wasn't even safe. In that house, she was a target, As a teen, Margareta was sent to Brussels for education. But truth is, her father was hiding her from the stepmother, who saw her as a threat. In Brussels, Margareta met the Spanish crown prince. He was enchanted by her beauty. Talks of marriage began, and that terrified the elites. A foreign girl with too much influence, that was dangerous. Margareta had become more than just a daughter. She was now a problem. That's when the whispers started. Margarita was seen talking to herself in gardens, picking wilted flowers with bleeding hands. Maids swore she spoke in strange tongues at night in front of mirrors. Some thought she was going insane. Others believed it was fear. She felt something coming, something dark, something real. She knew she was being hunted, and no prince was coming to save her. Then she got sick. First nausea, then vomiting blood. Her body shrank into a ghost. Doctors came, but no one could help. Every diagnosis was vague. Poison seemed likely, but no one dared say it. At just 21, she died alone, eyes wide open, as if waiting for something, or someone. Her final moments weren't peaceful, they were silent and terrifying. Her death wasn't just unnatural, it was intentional. Her death was swept under the rug. The official cause, natural illness. But behind closed doors, servants spoke of a glass vial, traces of deadly nightshade.
There you go. The true history, she didn't live happily ever after. She was killed. And the rumors are go around that her mom, her stepmom, had her killed because she was jealous. Not only that, her being that young and married to a very wealthy family, a special Spanish family that wealthy, will overthrow her stepmom out of power. And deadly nightshade is a very poisonous plant. It looks like a blueberry. They call it deadly nightshade or deadly nightshade. It's about the same height as a blueberry bush. Same berries, same shape, but a little bit bigger than a blueberry bush berry. Had the same kind of smell like berry, same shade, everything, but much bigger than a blueberry. So yeah, deadly nightshade. Call it deadly nightshade, wolfsbane, all the same thing. What you gonna call it? So yeah, let's get back to it.
A classic poison. No one was charged, no one punished, but the village remembered. So did the boys from the mines, especially the 7 who saw her as the only light in their dark world. Her story wasn't over, not even close. Years later, locals swore they saw a pale woman in the woods, always searching for a home, always holding a rotten apple. They believed it was Margarita's spirit, stuck between worlds. She never found justice, never had true love, only fear and betrayal. She became a ghost, not just of a girl, but of what happens when innocence is crushed by greed. Her legend was just starting to grow. Time passed. Margarita's tragedy faded into whispers, then rumors, and finally a tale. The story was softened, masked, and wrapped in magic. The stepmother became a witch. The poison became a shiny apple. The orphaned boys were turned into cute miners. Margareta, they called her Snow White, but the truth stayed buried, until someone someday decided to dig it up again. Margarita wasn't just a victim of her stepmother. She was a pawn in a brutal political game. Her relationship with the Spanish prince threatened alliances, religion, and power. Some historians believe her death was ordered by powerful men. She knew too much. She didn't belong. And worst of all, she was a woman. Beautiful, smart, and free. 3 things medieval Europe didn't forgive. After her death, strange things happened at the Waldeck estate. The stepmother fell ill. Servants fled in panic. Family records were burned in a single night. Rumors spread. Margareta had been buried alive. Others said she came back, not in flesh, but as a curse. Everyone involved in her downfall met a cruel end, as if death hadn't finished what it started, as if something was still unfinished. The forest near the village was soon sealed off. Travelers vanished, children disappeared. Locals said they heard whispers in Old German among the trees. A woodsman claimed he saw a pale woman with black hair, dressed in rags, staring at his cabin for hours. "She didn't touch the ground," he said. "She moved like smoke, like grief." No one believed him, but no one dared go back into that forest either. A century later, monks found old writings about the pale lady with open eyes. Texts described rituals to calm her spirit, wilted flowers, shattered mirrors, black apples left at crossroads. Those who refused to leave offerings got sick. Margarita had become a legend, a symbol of murdered innocence, of beauty hunted down, of a soul that never got peace, a soul still waiting for the truth. As fairy tales grew popular across Europe, early versions of Snow White still held dark pieces of Margaretha's truth. The toxic stepmother, the deformed boys in the mines, the slow, painful death. But time blurred it all. Real pain became fantasy. Horror got sugar-coated, happy endings replaced warnings, and the real girl behind the myth slowly erased until only her shadow remained. Margaretha's grave still exists in Bad Wildungen, but something's off. The headstone has no death date, just an inscription. She who saw but could not speak, who loved but was not heard. Historians are puzzled. Most records vanished in the 1700s. It's as if someone wanted to erase her, not just from books, but from memory, a clean slate, as if the truth was too dangerous to be remembered. The real dwarfs were boys broken by labor. One of them, called Rolf, wrote a journal before dying at 12. He said, "The White Lady smiles at us. She cries for us. She says we'll sleep soon and it won't hurt." Some call it a dying child's fantasy. Others believe Margareta visited them in secret, bringing food, stories, and kindness. To them, she was more than noble. She was hope in human form. Margarita cared deeply for those boys. She hid them from punishments, cooled their wounds with wet cloth. They saw her as an angel. And when she died, hell came. 2 older boys vanished days after her burial. One was found hanged in the mine. The other was found torn apart in the woods. No one was blamed, no questions asked, just silence. The kind of silence that comes after a curse is born. The Waldeck Castle was eventually abandoned. Families who moved in heard voices in mirrors and footsteps at night. A village girl claimed she spoke to the sad lady with the black apple. Priests tried exorcisms. Nothing worked. The castle was sealed, then cursed. Even today, locals won't talk about it. Some say Margarita still walks its halls, because justice never came, and she's still waiting. Margarita never wanted to be queen. She wanted freedom. But a woman with beauty, wit, and a mind of her own was too dangerous. So they poisoned her, erased her, turned her into a fairy tale monster. Her face lives on in dusty portraits and in every version of Snow White ever told. But now, you know, it wasn't a fairy tale, it was a warning, and it's not over yet. Margarita's body was never exhumed. When authorities tried in the 1800s, the grave was empty. No bones, no dress, just a cracked mirror and a dried-up apple. The case went cold again. Her tomb stayed untouched, but hollow. Some believe she was never buried. Others say she never died, just changed form. Maybe she became a whisper, a shadow. Maybe she became the very curse they tried to escape. Hidden monastery records tell of a pale woman with a soft voice who appeared in sick rooms, touched the dying, whispered in old tongues, then vanished. One monk wrote in 1683, "She came with the scent of earth and dead flowers. She left peace or madness." Many believe it was Margarita's spirit wandering between worlds, not to scare, but to find something she never had in life, peace. A 1742 Lutheran pastor wrote about a white lady who punished women who poisoned others. Over time, several wives died from nightshade. In each case, a broken mirror was found near the body, and always the same signature, a single letter, M. The justice Margareta never got in life. She may have taken from beyond. Her story didn't end in a coffin. It kept walking and judging, quietly. In the late 1800s, A folklore collector named Karl von Schrader published the name Schneewittchen, Little Snow White, for the first time. He told of a girl poisoned by envy, protected by mountain boys, and betrayed by power. It was the first step toward turning horror into bedtime stories, but some pieces still bled through. The mirror, the death, the apple, the truth refused to stay quiet. Schrader was warned not to publish. His peers said he was disturbing the dead. Even his publisher received threats. Days later, the printing house burned to the ground. No culprit was found. The book disappeared for decades. Then came newer, brighter versions, safer ones. Pieces of the truth were cut out and buried, but like bones under the floorboards, they waited to be dug up again. But something always remained. In every new version, little cracks showed through. The cruel stepmother, the watching mirror, the poisoned fruit, the death-like sleep. The story was trying to tell itself again, because pain, no matter how buried, always finds a way to scream. The real story was never gone. It was just masked in color, music, and magic. But the bones, still there. Old letters from a Bavarian nun said she cared for Margarita before her death. The nun wrote, she didn't cry, said she had cried too much already. She only asked not to be left alone with the mirror, said it showed things no one should ever see. The letter ends with a final line. The dead don't rest when the living lie about them. A warning ignored, a truth half told. Until now. As the modern world arrived, Margarita's name faded. But in small German towns in deep forests, her legend lived on. She became a ghost, a curse, a warning, anything but what she truly was, a real girl, destroyed by greed and ambition. And while the world forgot, Hollywood was getting closer, ready to take her pain, twist it, and sell it with a smile. Her suffering was about to be repackaged. The 20th century brought electricity, cinema, and censorship. Film studios searched for ancient stories to turn into movies. And of course, the tale of a poisoned girl, a dark forest, and strange protectors seemed perfect. But no one wanted the truth. No ghosts, no exploited children. That was too much.